The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, plus the Barracuda Championship. Picks, preview, bets, one and done. We got it all here for you. Remember to smash the like button for the episode and give me your favorite double this week. And if you're unfamiliar with what a double is, it's one pick to win one tournament and parlayed with a pick to win the other tournament, because I already have one. All cooked up. I even have a triple with the Champions Tour. Jim Furyk, plus 375. Get him on there in his first ever Champions Tour, who actually played well at the WGC at TP Southwind a year ago. Also, remember to rate and review the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. 5 stars. Tell some friends. It goes a long way into help keeping this show free and ad-free, for that example. Also, the PGA Championships next week are going a bit light on everything, but next week, I mean, I haven't confirmed this with him. Geoff Fienberg's in the studio. We're doing a cut sweat, right?
Yeah, of course.
Primetime cut sweat from the West Coast.
Sounds about right. It's also my mom's birthday, but this is priority.
You can tell her you're working.
Yeah, no, it's in a thing. Listen, I just said it's got to be.
So the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League, it was a day late in terms of the link, so there's actually still spots in it. Right now, there's less than 1,000 spots left. You can find the link in the description of this video and podcast if you want to get in. Best tournament on DraftKings. Also, there's no Barracuda DraftKings this week, which is really shitty because
shame.
I hate playing DraftKings in these WGC no-cut events. They're not a whole lot of fun. I don't even really like betting them, to tell you the truth. Considering we're going to see all these same players next week at a tougher venue in a full field where there's a cut, like it's just more fun. That way, I think, at least. Although there's some weird odds on guys where when I looked at the board initially, it's like, oh, this guy is 1/3 the odds of what he is next week at the PGA Championship with twice as many players in the field. Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. The WGCs aren't really our bag. It kind of felt like we were on a hot run that maybe Lowry interrupted at like Bridgestone of like truly elite, like under 20 to 1s, just like
that was also like 5 years ago.
Raking those. No, but it extended. There have been very few non-really elite wins.
Yeah,
maybe outside of match play, you got a Kisner and a Bubba, but those.
But match play is also
that lends itself to that.
It's a lot like the FedEx Cup playoff events where you rarely see like someone outside of the very best guys end up winning. Like the only one I can really think of who's not an elite player who's won a playoff event like in the somewhat recent past was Keegan.
Yeah. Hunter Mahan was elite.
That was
when he won his.
That was in 2014.
Event. Listen, I'm just trying to remember guys that aren't like premier stars winning those things. To your point about odd disparities in this week, looking forward to the PGA Championship, one thing I've historically noticed as it pertains to majors and futures is if a guy is on a heater, if we're giving him some buzz, that number, like it's a coming down. But if a guy is ice and he sucks, they do not like push it up.
Well, that's what happened. That happened this week to one of the guys in the field with the WGC, and his odds are just like silly. And I'm going to bet them he's going to suck, and I'm going to be like, oh, that was stupid. But like, the odds just seem off. Before we get into anything else, just remember, we used to record our major championship shows on like a Friday and then release them on the weekend. People get all fired up. Then we started recording them on Sunday evening so they'd be ready for Monday afternoon or Monday morning when people got up. I'm throwing that out the window this time. I think we should just record just a little bit earlier on Monday because every time we record these shows, the odds change so drastically on Monday morning from what they were before that. Like, if you're thinking about making a bet on the PGA Championship now, make sure it's good value because almost everyone drops by like a pretty significant margin.
Significant, absolutely. And there's going to be competition. I think real competition in this new sort of wave we're in with the industry as a whole with, ball and stick. Who knows if it'll be playing by the time the PGA Championship is here. But the take the markets are getting on jabroni golf events like last week, I think they're going to be competing for our dollars. There are going to be some great opportunities like we always speak about when we record early. Some of those fancy each way offers aren't even out yet. There's a lot of really good opportunities out there.
That's a really good point. So like if you play on a site that has an each way wager, like the major one in North America that offers that will give you 5 places right now. If you wait till Monday, that could be 8 places, which is significant value.
And there are places that we have access to that are committed, especially for the bigger events, to offering the best line on anyone under 30 to 1. So to your point, it would take a hero's effort to really move your line. A guy will just have to steam it this week. There'll be a couple guys who will joke about next week their numbers got steamed and they didn't win, but we'll see.
Here's an example of someone whose number is going to get better unless he basically wins this week. Dustin Johnson is 18 to 1 to win the PGA Championship. When we get into the odds this week, he's as low as 35 to 1 to win in Memphis, where he's won before and constantly plays well. If he plays like middling to bad this week, he's going to be like 35 to 1. Yeah. So you might as well just wait. So we're going to wait to do the show is what I want to say. No live chat this week for the WGC because I don't really care about it all that much. Plus I got some personal stuff going on this week, as in my mom was up here for a few weeks to help us with the baby. My wife's parents are coming up next week, so we're on our own this week. So I need to be home as much as possible. But that's not going to deter me from anything. We're going to do this show. We're going to have the DraftKings show with Jeff Ulrich tomorrow on Tuesday. Wednesday will be fantasy football wide receiver rankings with Jake Seeley. Thursday is going to be UFC, and then Friday we might do a Cuss Corner. I'm not sure. Or update the movie bracket, because the movie bracket is still going on. It's down to the round of 32. If you go to my Twitter page at the PME or hit the description of this video or podcast, you can find the link to vote in that right now. Some juicy competition coming up. It'd be nice to check back in and do more of a recap show of what's going on in that. FantasyNational.com/Mayo will get you 20% off. And it's a good thing viewers of the show have Fantasy National, because they listened to us last week. They did very poorly. It was one of the worst like crazy weeks I've seen in the past few years. It was the lowest 6 of 6 percentage on DraftKings I've ever seen. It was below 2%. But that didn't mean that people didn't win last week, which was nice. Sarkeesian 10-16 won the Pat Mayo Experience Open, his second week ever playing DraftKings golf. Shout out to him. That's a way to enter the scene. It's not going to be that good forever.
It's like when your girlfriend like wins the football pool.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Buddy, but he's just fresh into the game. But props. That's a big score too.
It's just like my theory that anyone who goes to the casino and plays table games for the first time always wins. Oh, the first time you walk into a casino and play blackjack, you are guaranteed to win. Yeah. And then you'll think you're going to win every time. And then you go lose 8 times your money back over like the next 3 weeks. It happens to everyone.
Yeah, just like quickly to joke on that. I think favorites went like 14-2 the first day in baseball. And then they got absolutely hammered the second day as people were snickering about how good teams are and how bad other teams are.
Chris Amonette turned 26 into $1,000. Mike Buckley, he shouted this one out. He was using the in-play features, like the in-tool live leaderboard, and he had 2 bets on Michael Thompson, one from Friday, one from Saturday, 80 to 1 and 50 to 1, cashed them both, and picked up a Cameron Tringali each way. So shout out to him for using the tools how they're supposed to be used, unlike me, who just fucked off the entire week. Peter Bart won the $40,000 stinger. That was good for $10,000. Found out he was having a baby on the way this weekend too, so that 10K is going to go a long way. Got some of that baby swag going. And C-Mac turned 19 into 410 and actually had more points in his lineup than the Millionaire Maker winner did. But he didn't play the Millionaire Maker and doesn't play the Millionaire Maker and didn't seem to be like too rattled by it. Like other people were like, you would have won the Millionaire Maker if you had played. And it's really hard to do, and maybe I'm just kind of geared that way. I don't ever feel badly about things that I was never going to enter to begin with. Like if I had been max entering, let's say I've been playing 20 lineups in the Millionaire Maker week after week after week, and this was the week I said, you know what, I'm not going to play the Millionaire Maker because I've been doing shitty at it, and I would have had the lineup that won, then I'd be tilted off my ass. Yeah. But if it was something I never played anyway, like there's nothing to be that mad about, is there?
No, I agree.
But some people can't deal with that. C-Mac seems to be doing fine with it, though. He turned $19 into 410. That's a really good week.
Sort of like with your first round leaders. I always look at it. It's one of those things like it's good to either like always
do it or don't do it.
Or don't do it.
Yeah, the first round leaders are a lottery play. Like the odds on someone above 100 to 1 hitting are generally better than.
You'll meet your quota, I always tell people, but to just like randomly do it to me is the dumbest. Not dumbest because it's always fun and it's not big investments, or you can make them as big as you want. So that I don't mean dumbest, but to jump in and out or some week do it and some weeks not, I feel is is silly.
Yeah, like this might be a week where I don't do it for the WGC just because the odds won't be very good in this style that I want to play. But Paul and I were talking about this into last week with the first round leaders. Like, in order to be profitable betting like how I bet, you need to hit 1 every 10 weeks to break even. You hit 2 in that time frame, you're up for ages. You hit 3, you're good for the year. And I think we've hit 3.5 because we had the split with Harold Varner so far this year. So we're up. You treat them like penny stocks is just the approach that I have. And it's really fun, by the way, for like, it makes Thursday far more entertaining. Yeah. Even if you want to put like $2 on people, like throw $2 on a guy who's 125 to 1, you win 250. Like that's fine, right? Yeah. Not everyone needs to put down $3,000 on a bet in order to feel like a big man. A win's a win. So those were the winners of this week. FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Quick tip on that. If you don't have a membership to Fantasy National and you don't want to like dip your toe in because it's like a really shitty week, I recommend waiting till Wednesday this week to get the weekly. So it's like $8 if you use the code for the weekly. And if you go on Wednesday, you'll get Wednesday to Wednesday, which means you get Barracuda for betting, you get DraftKings and betting for WGC, and you'll get betting and DraftKings for the PGA Championship next week. You'll have it all rolled over into one. So don't tell Moose I'm telling people about this double dip. That's the way that you want to do it. The Wednesday move for the FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Let's talk about Tony Finau. I want to put a positive spin on this.
Yeah, always.
So here's how it's unfair to Tony because you actually watch him. He's a popular player. People watch him. People like him. People are invested in him, and people bet on him. So his losses seem really tragic whenever they happen, and he doesn't close. But if you were just to look at a spreadsheet and be like, and you were just like handicapping this week for the WGC, let's say, and you look at, fuck, Tony Finau has great recent form. He has 2 top 5s and his 2 fast starts.
Incredible.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny that he gets so much heat because people want him to win. People are invested in him winning. But it's no different than a lot of people that just never close. Like we were talking about Woodland before the tournament, or before we came on air. Yeah, he won the U.S. Open. You said it was Phoenix's first win. It's like, because we were talking about the Barracuda when he gagged it to Super Nintendo Chalmers.
Yeah, which was a low point in my Woodland fandom, was when he couldn't outduel Chalmers on a Sunday at the Barracuda.
Well, all the good players were playing in the WGC at Bridgestone. He was at fucking Reno.
That was at a low point in his career, clearly, to even have been there.
Yeah, but even to look back at like Woodland's career, he won the Valspar in 2011. He won what was then the Reno Tahoe, which is now the Barracuda, in 2013. Then didn't win again until Phoenix in 2019. Yeah.
And then won a U.S. Open.
Yeah. It's just strange how people choose to see certain things through a lens. Like if, let's say the results of... Let's say Casey didn't miss the cut. Let's say Casey did what Finau did the past 2 weeks, and his results were just like 5th and 3rd. Be like, Paul Casey's trending up. Like he's going to be due for a win here soon. But with Finau, it's like, guy can never win. It's impossible. And I don't necessarily disagree with that because it seems like every time on Sunday when he's in contention that he completely gags it away, or at least he takes himself out of it so early is the thing. In Phoenix, he didn't, but the past 2 weeks he did. At Memorial and last week, like he just couldn't get anything going on the front 9. He was basically out of it by the time he started to find his groove.
I don't really know what you mean as it pertains to last week. He birdied 2 and 3, didn't he? Yesterday, and then he fell back on the front 9. Yeah, but he was kind of always there. Listen, he's not.
He never felt like he was in contention from like hole 5 till the end. He was out of it. He just never all the easy holes. Get to the par 5s.
That seems to be his biggest issue is when he's contending, he doesn't take advantage of the easy holes on the golf course. I don't think that's just a perception. I'm pretty confident that is a reality of the situation, and I'm certain he's going to win again. Or he's going to win. I have zero doubts, and I'm pretty confident it'll be a pretty big tournament, and it'll spin everything on its head.
Well, the move is going to be when he wins the PGA Championship next weekend. No one has bet him.
Oh, keep it to yourself.
That's going to be the funny part.
But we have talked about often that as betting him, it doesn't matter what the field is. I believe his win equity is equal. You'll laugh and say 0, but I mean, sure, fine. 0 is 0. So betting 0 at 60 to 1, 50 to 1, 40 to 1 is better than any of these small fields. When it kind of clicks for him and he doesn't sort of go off the rails and he takes advantage of the easier holes, I think it's just going to click for him. It doesn't matter if he's playing Michael Thompson or if he's playing Webb Simpson, although he already lost to Webb Simpson this year in a duel. So that's kind of a really bad example, but I expect him to win a Big Boy Pants tournament. I have very little doubts about it. I'm not necessarily calling a major victory for the guy, but he's going to win one of these fancy field events.
Sometimes it just takes it all to click on the right day, but he's lingered so often in these big events that it's just going to, through osmosis, happen for him one of these times.
Of course.
Like when it happened for Ricky when he won the Players. Like he lingered around these big events long enough that he won one.
There are 800 steps you could put it. In every sort of way, I have been able to nitpick a positive from his failures. I believe last year, it's just, you could repeat the record on how many Saturday nights people are like, oh, this might be the weekend for Tony. Or last year, how going out in the final group with Tiger, seeing Tiger win the Masters, I felt would embolden his summer, as opposed to being some kick in the pants per se. And I think he's fine. As I joked yesterday morning, though, kind of felt like he was in a lose-lose, but he better win, because losing was just going to pour gasoline on it, and that's exactly what's happening. But winning would have just been how is outdueling Michael Thompson and Adam Long any different than beating Steve Marino in Puerto Rico? The people that want to hold him down fairly, I don't think would have even given much credence to him pulling it off yesterday. That being said, ifs, buts, candy, nuts, he didn't win. And you are right. It kind of felt like every time he didn't take advantage of easy holes, he put himself out of it. He didn't take advantage of easy holes at Riviera at a big boy tournament where he blew it when Bubba won. He didn't take advantage where he completely fell apart at Memorial. He kept putting it in the water on goddamn the 12th, the one that was set up to be aggressive on. So blah. But I don't think the numbers are totally unfair, because I think the books go by a system that you go by, those flow charts, as opposed to he can't do it. Yeah. I think that's ridiculous, and I'll laugh at those notions, but he deserves a lot of the heat. And if you're ever going to take a victory lap against Tony, it's a lot easier to do today than sort of getting your ass kicked at Memorial at a tournament John Rahm wins.
But it's also part of the problem, and it's a part of the Rory problem too, that people hold against Rory, is that he's always in contention. So his losses are noticeable.
But there's nothing on the other side. It's a scale of
justice. What I'm saying is that Dustin will be given a pass for last week, whether he has a back problem, personal issues, or he just fucking sucked again, whatever it is. But he withdrew, whatever. But he played horrible. Finau didn't play horrible. He played quite well.
This is maybe a really dumb thing, and when I say dumb things, you'll put it back at me. Finau's quest to win a tournament feels identical to Dustin's quest to win the major.
Yeah.
But one was a major. But his quest and always being there and short numbers and not being able to come through. I know there were tragedies in Dustin's story. Well, Tony just kind of played bad or did some silly things, but I don't know.
Yeah, Finau rarely loses on the 17th or 18th hole. He's usually out of it.
The only good golfers Finau probably beats is Summer Hayes' children. Had a fly in my face.
Oh, it's killing you. Fly's been in here for 2 weeks. I don't know where it's coming from, where it came from, and why it won't die.
The raid again?
Yeah, I remember that episode. The raid episode was great. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just want to talk it through.
Yeah, it's got to be talked about. It's not an unavoidable topic.
But I just don't think it's as bad as it seems. Also,
never is.
Shout out to Michael Thompson's bunker shot on that drivable par 4 with the downhill lie and getting it to 2 feet. That was a fucking incredible
16,
shot.
the shot of the tournament. Because before that, I actually thought Max Homa was going to win.
I thought Charles was going to come. He was going to go birdie eagle.
I thought Homa was going to hit his putt on 17, and Noren burned 2 edges. What a horrible... You mentioned horrible week for a lot of people. It was a horrible week for me. I mean, I made a live Charles bet that was more lucky than good, so I don't even care to talk about it. And didn't even
nice catch on that
anything.
Schwab bet, by the way.
Whatever.
Like I said, it didn't
But
win.
my card,
he should have been like 50. He was 250.
my card was annihilated, and like quickly it sucked, and something else really shitty happened. Oh, I do a bunch of these radio hits, some pretty premium outlets.
I think I got it. I think so.
You got me, I know that.
Jeff's cheat sheet is full of raid. Sorry about that.
What about his phone? Does it have raid on it?
Yeah, it has raid on it.
I don't know what just happened.
Sorry about that. But I think I got it. Take a raid break. Suck that in. We'll make for a better show. So,
Sorry, I deserve what I'm getting for what I'm about to say.
I just want to give a shout out though. Like last week was a terrible week.
Yeah,
I lost a bunch
and
of
guess
money.
who
Paul and Cody saved my ass last week. Is the raid too much?
No, it's just I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
It's
Like
showing up on camera. It looks like
Oh yeah, there it is
there's
right
quite
there.
a bit of raid there.
I don't see the fly though.
I don't see the fly. I just see the raid all over the
Here,
table.
Paul, can you pass me one of my makeup towels, please?
Okay, yeah.
You pass me a makeup towel, and I will. I'll get this all dried off for you.
Yeah, I don't really mind it. I just like want to.
Oh, your Barracuda.
I want to work against.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that.
Do you want?
No, I'm okay.
Do you want for your phone?
I'll take care of that after. Actually, yeah. You know what?
Sorry, full meltdown here, right?
So shout out to Paul for winning me a bunch of money on the.
And now ruining Jeff's phone with the raid.
No, it's okay. We're having. I've had the Orkin Man over a couple times. Good thing they got a warranty.
I have an ant problem. At
And
my
a
house.
wasp nest, and they just keep re-showing up.
Oh really? I thought you lived in an all Jewish area. Right?
There are Jews in my neighborhood. Yes, that was good. Oh yeah, thank you for this. So as I was saying, like shows like last week were fun. Talking about how like good things have been. So I hit a bit of a circuit last week in some radio appearances. The picks were out, and they asked things like, which player should I fade? And I don't know why, but I was giving out like Alex Noren.
Oh no.
I love Alex Noren.
Now we got blinking problems. This isn't great.
They show up when the roulette wheel like hits red 8 times in a row.
Make sure we're still recording, Paul.
Whatever, we're good.
We are?
Everything's great. Everything's great.
Little 5-minute meltdown there for a
Viewers of the there are more blinks. Viewers of the show love this kind of assuming because I don't feel like cutting it out. I think our raid problem, our blinking problem, has been sorted out at this point. So let's just jump into it. WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. This is Brooks for Lily tournament.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So get it back then.
This is the St. Jude. He actually won this tournament last year. This is the first year it was in Memphis for the WGC. Before that, it was the St. Jude Classic, and a bunch of like 3 or 4 stars would show up. It was like the 3M field from last week, essentially. But now all the good players are here, minus Tiger, Scott, Molinari, Rose, Papashugo, and Lee Westwood. They're all not playing. It's a par 70, 7,200 yards. Bermuda, 78 players in the field. There is no cut. These are not the most fun events to bet or anything like that, but maybe we can find some value. First timers that we're seeing in the field this week, Stenson, Norris, Bobby Mack, the Scottish Tim Andercust, Lucas Ebert, and Sebastian Soderberg. Number 173 in the world are all in the field and playing in competitive golf for the first time this week. If we jump to the top of the odds board, no, that is the Barracuda. We got John Rahm, the number 1 player in the world. He is the favorite. Justin Thomas is 12-1. Rory is 12-1. Bryson is 12-1. Patrick Cantlay is 16-1. I have no interest in any of these guys to bet them outright. Cust has picked Rory as his one and done. If we forget that Rory and Brooks had like a Sunday duel on the go last year, and Rory wilted and Brooks played great.
But then Rory won the next couple.
Did he?
Yeah, there was one in the playoffs, and then he won the Tour Championship.
That's right. Did he win the Tour Championship last year? I pay so little
He won
attention.
the FedEx Cup. I'm pretty sure I don't know. I don't know, man.
Anyway, the past 2 winners at this course have been Brooks and Dustin, which almost leads me immediately to Rahm is set up perfectly for this course once again. Coming off the win, maybe he keeps the good times rolling. I kind of hope he sucks so we get a decent number on him at the PGA. That's not going to happen.
There's no decent number. There was no decent I was trying to bet Rahm to win the PGA at any fair number before the Memorial win. It didn't exist then. He has a propensity to play very well in California. Like most major championship golf courses that aren't the Masters, set up very well for guys that hit it long and straight. He falls into that small box. They weren't buying into like any label that he can't win big events, anything. The odds makers weren't. There was never a ROM number for the PGA at any point, and it certainly won't exist with a win. I don't know. He'd have to lose a foot to go over 16.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, he'd have to lose a foot.
Here are the players who rank inside the top 30 in this field, at least, in both driving distance and accuracy. So those are the types of players that you want here. Matthew Wolff, Xander Schauffele, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland. Those are the 5.
Interesting.
Since the restart, I should say.
Oh, if you're asking me to make a bet
and Sung J M. Huh.
He's high.
Sung J.
He's up there. If you're asking me to make my favorite pick from under 20 to 1 here, I would pick Rory. I'd lean where Cust is leaning with his one and done. I'm pretty worried Rory's going to win one of these next 2 events. And I don't know how. It's kind of hard to bet him, but there's a better chance of getting a Rory number next week if he plays poorly than a Rahm number.
I would actually tend to agree with that.
And if they want to give me something,
but no, actually, that's not true because regardless of how poorly Rory plays, unless he gets injured,
he's just popular.
Well, not only is he popular, there's like one tournament that you can draw course history from Harding Park, and Rory won.
It was a match play, but fair enough.
But he won.
So. Yeah. So I probably find it difficult to bet him for either, but I like Rory to probably find the winner's circle in the next couple weeks, to be perfectly honest.
It's hard to keep him out for long is the whole thing that every week that he doesn't win, it's just kind of adding to the total. Like what? Rory wins like once every 7 events or something.
And this might sound like super corny to go back and talk about, but that was literally the case when they were posting the 22, 24s like for Rahm. It's like, no, he only was I saying he was winning? I was hoping he was winning. But there's only so many Sundays where that ticket isn't fire going into a Sunday morning with a guy like that and his contend rate and his top 5 rate and his win rate. And Rory's is equal, if not better for the most part. So yeah, I kind of feel the same, except you're never going to get a number on Rory like you're able to catch on Rahm for Memorial.
Yeah, 12 to 1. Like I'm just not going to bet any of these guys. And I mean, they're the favorites for a reason, but it's still a golf tournament. And because the WGC has no cut, these guys actually have time to rebound if they have a bad round. We've seen that happen a bunch of times at WGCs. I think that they're all fine plays. I still don't understand what the fascination with Patrick Cantlay is as like a super elite versus some of these other guys who are also super elite. Just, it's weird. Like why?
Like why does he get more love than Schauffele? Like who?
Yeah, because Schauffele would be one of them.
Because he's kind of in his no man's land.
But why is Cantlay get more credit on the betting board than Morikawa does? Just as an honest question. They've both won, the same amount of tournaments in their career? And Morikawa's done it in 1 year? And he recently won like 3 weeks ago? That's just
fair point.
That just seems strange to me. I'm not saying that Patrick Cantlay is a worse player.
No.
Although I do believe he is a worse player than Colin Morikawa.
But win equity is sort of where you're probably going with. And
it's not even win equity. I just don't understand. Like, it feels like Morikawa is now a value. Like if he's not going to be treated like Cantlay is, although they're probably right around the same type of player, I just don't get it.
Listen, that's one of the philosophies that draws me to make a lot of bets in this little game that we try to do. I sort of see what you're saying, and I would feel the same about Schauffele or Webb. Like, what is Cantlay doing that
these guys aren't?
That he deserves to be kind of in his own bracket that no one else is in and ahead of them. But whatever. Good for me.
Let's talk to this 20 to 40 range, because I think this is where the winners have been coming from, for one thing. Except for this week. Michael Thompson. I thought, like, when I saw Michael Thompson was winning, I was like, he must be like 300 to 1. Yeah. He was like 100 to 1.
Crazy.
Like, oh yeah, this was a bad field.
Eyes went right through him.
Yeah. And
Didn't even
we
acknowledge.
We
his-
talked about the Honda Classic crossover too, and you went with Mitchell, and I was like, I don't want fucking Mitchell, and then that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
And Michael Thompson was sitting right there, and he contended at Heritage like 3
Played
weeks
fine.
ago.
Yeah, he gagged it late, right? Or
Yeah.
he wasn't.
He didn't
He
gag
just
it. He
put
just
it.
couldn't keep
yeah,
up.
couldn't keep up
I
late.
feel like he short-sided himself on 17.
and just that was it.
And then he just couldn't get it up and down, and that was the end of him. Anyway, this 20 to 40 range is super interesting. Xander, 22. Hovland, Dustin, Hatton, Morikawa, 25. Berger, who won back-to-back years at this course when it was the St. Jude Classic, is 28. Tommy, 30. Brooks, 33. Hideki, 33. Fitz, Finau, Reed, all 35 to 1.
Let's have some fun.
I bet Brooks at 33. I'm a fish. I'm a sucker for this sort of thing, but I looked at his odds for next week, 14 to 1. He won this tournament last year. He played shockingly well at 3M and lost 6 strokes putting in 2 rounds. So I'm not really too concerned about the ball strike. It's the consistency that really worries me a lot. But
He'll have to get some good juju early, but I'm with you.
It just seems like a big, like the number's too big, even
Okay.
for Brooks and he's won he won this WGC last year, so it's above a regular tournament, below a major. He can and he's good in no cut events.
He won here before. As you mentioned, he took a multi-stroke lead the week my first daughter was born here in our quest for Brooks for Lily.
He came second.
It is my second daughter, Isabel's first birthday this week. So if he wants to show up for presents for everybody, that would be fantastic. I get the fact, I don't want to put too much into the PGA number because he's one of the players I alluded to. It didn't matter that he was struggling. That number didn't move. It's like the books never wanted to push it up. But next week, if he struggles this week, that thing's going to balloon to where...
No, it won't, because people will look. No, because there is sort of an inherent logic on a few players when it comes to majors. It's like if Tiger was playing in the field this week, he'd be like 40 to 1. But at the PGA Championship, he's just not ever going to be because the casual is going to come to the window and bet Tiger. For a major, a casual will go to the window and bet Brooks. And they might be right. That way, you just the books just limit their exposure by saying, hey, he's 14 to 1.
Okay, I'm more inclined that if it's a bad week for Brooks, we'll see something similar to what you're expecting to see with another Dustin bad week. Because there's just too many good players at the top that the books will want to command those low prices for. I'm going to join you on the Brooks bet. I acknowledge that comes with a lot of options. Him sucking, him withdrawing. It's an outright bet, whatever. But if
he doesn't win, it's useless anyway.
If he is can get a bit of life and take it into the weekend, I'm as confident as him as anybody. As for the injury, the thing people want to talk about, him grabbing his knee, I got very, 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 very little concern about it. I lose a lot of outright golf bets, so if I'm wrong about this and he does withdraw, I'll own it, but it's just like a guy finishing third at that price. I wasn't each weighing it. It's the same shit. My point being is there's not a chance in hell he shows up in Minnesota if he's injured. There's not a chance in hell he puts the ball in the ground this week if he's injured. You know when he wouldn't go to the knee? If he hit the 6-foot putt. If he hit the 6-foot putt, you don't watch the other guy clean up his 3-footer and see Brooks like rubbing his knee because it makes the pain go away. I'm pretty certain of it. He wouldn't play if he was hurt. He doesn't. Everyone's like, no, he's hurt, but he's got to like go full throttle to make the FedEx Cup. This is Brooks Koepka. If he's hurt, fuck the FedEx Cup.
He fucked the Masters a few years ago. He was like, I'm hurt.
There is a summer full of majors and big events because of how the schedule works out. He would fuck the FedEx Cup if he was hurt to be ready for the biggest events on the planet. All due respect to the FedEx Cup. It's fun to play for the big cash. He's feeling disrespected by how guys are just being talked about more than him. Guys are cooler than him
Matthew
at the moment.
Matthew Fitzpatrick is now the same odds as him to win a tournament.
That was my own little bothersome thing this morning. No disrespect to Fitz.
Well, I threw it out to you that I didn't agree with what you actually tweeted back to in terms of affecting odds, but the reason that he's down at this number is he just came second at Memorial. A lot of people saw that.
It was a stupid second.
He shot the round of the day. A lot of people saw it in brutal conditions, and he ended up inside the top 5 at this tournament last year. That's the reason that his odds are what they are. It's not because
whatever.
Bones said he was great.
Yeah, it's all part of it. People can't wait to bet Matthew Fitzpatrick. It's ridiculous to me. Makes zero sense.
I think this is a good setup for him.
There's lots of good setups for him. He's a good player. I don't want it to seem like I'm anti-Matthew Fitzpatrick. I own him in our fantasy league because I knew he'd be in a lot of big events, and I liked him as a season-long player. I'm not insulting him, but the concept of his Nordia Masters compared to the real Masters and Brooks's majors is like a little laughable to me. That's all.
So from this range, like I was thinking about just calling my week. I don't want to do too much research into this, although I've done way too much to begin with. Bet 4 guys from this 20 to 40 range, call it a week.
Yeah,
and those 4 guys, I think I have trouble pegging down the last one. But if you sort on Fantasy National by just par 70s, who are the best players on par 70s? Rory's the best. Webb is number 2. We're back on Bermuda. So Webb at 22, I think is a good number. I think Xander at 22 is a good number. I don't think those numbers are going anywhere is the thing. So I'm going to wait a day or two. Maybe I'll catch a 25 somewhere, maybe a 20. I saw DraftKings Sportsbook has some actually really good odds. Like Dustin is 25 where I'm looking. He's 35 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
I caught a 25 on Xander. Stay cool.
So there we go. That's a good number. So I can see it dropping back to that if he's not getting up. But I like those 2 guys this week. And Brooks, I just like the number. So those 3 guys. And then I think it would honestly be between Hovland and Morikawa or Berger. There is something to Berger playing well here. There just is. And he's playing well right now.
The whole part of trying to besmirch Berger's wins here as it wasn't the WGC, it was a weak field.
He beat Brooks.
A weaker field events. I don't really care because I believe Daniel Berger is closer to being a really good player than the player that had his downturn, and he's playing fantastic and he's at his comfort zone course. I'd rather bet Berger than Fitzpatrick. In some other places, they're actually the same.
Yeah, this is a good
So
week.
maybe
This is a good
Berger
week
should
to
have
shop.
gotten that spot on that tweet instead of that loser Tony. Sorry, Big Ricky.
Big Ricky.
Tim messages us last night. I finally get why you guys call him Big Ricky. Oh, you get it now, Tim? Oh, it made sense for you today?
You know the PGA Tour is doing itself a disservice when even Tim is complaining about the coverage.
It was a weird one yesterday. And everyone was all over the place. Even radio wasn't up to their good standards. They were a little lost with Noren, too.
Reed is interesting. He played really well here last year. He just couldn't putt, which is very atypical for Patrick Reed.
What about, okay. I like Xander a lot. Webb, I always kind of need to be nudged towards, but
It's a short course. It's a par 70. It's on Bermuda. That is like the Webb Simpson danger zone.
Yeah.
And I believe he was second at this tournament last year.
to Brooks?
Yeah.
Brooks won. Brooks and Dustin, I feel like, walked the field.
Dustin dominated like Andrew Putnam 2 years ago here with the walk-off from the middle of the fairway. I think he won by like 6.
Oh, yeah, and Brooks had, as you mentioned, it was going to be a duel with Rory, but that didn't last long.
Yeah, but Rory faded.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Last year at this course, I believe it was minus 14 for Brooks, and I think that Webb was kind of like the de facto second place. He was just he was like in and finished.
We've pretty much had a historic winning score of like 10 to 14, and Dustin was a bit of an outlier going like insane, right?
Yeah, it's all in my column from up on DK Nation right now. Let's see. Yeah, minus 16 for Brooks last year, minus 13 for Webb. Leishman was third at minus 12. Rory, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, minus 11. John Rahm, minus 10. So there's so much water on this course. There's more water on this course. Well, not quite as much as last week, but there are more water balls at this course. This is the wettest course on tour. So guys can eject themselves pretty easily. This is where Garrigus had his meltdown against Lee Westwood and Robert Carlson in 2010. One of my favorite YouTube clips of all time with like sweaty ass Garrigus because it was so hot in Memphis and just had a complete meltdown with a 3-stroke lead on 18.
That's everyone's favorite. Cam loved that clip forever too.
That's back when he was winning using the mini putter, and only Mark Hubba Hubbard uses the mini putter anymore.
I just want to say I was pretty sure all weekend the two winner. Well, I don't know who won in Europe, although Josh Perry hit another
Corn Ferry.
Corn Ferry bomb.
I thought McGreedy or whatever hell is that guy. That guy's name is.
It was until like the end of nearly both tournaments that I actually thought Thompson and Paratori were actually going to win. Like I thought the whole time they were both like
I
set up to bottom out
I
on
almost
their way home.
I almost made a live bet on Thompson at the beginning of the day, like right when the leaders were going to get going. I think he was still like 4-1 or something like that. Because Finau was in it, Finau was getting so much credit from the books that it was pushing down everyone else. And I just kind of assessed it, and I looked at it, and just through not really empirical evidence, just very anecdotal. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to put a bomb in on Zhang and more. Maybe they can shoot the Homa round or the Adam Long round, and then they'll win, kind of thing. And there was other people like, oh, I'm sweating Tony Finau. I'm sweating. I have Werenski at 80-1. Like no one had Michael Thompson, so it was like, of course he's going to win because no one stands to profit if Michael Thompson wins, and then he wins. He played great, like really great.
Very rarely in trouble.
That was the whole thing. Everyone else was like in the fescue or in the water. He was just down the middle. I'll hit it to 20 feet and I'll make like 30% of these putts.
And he took advantage of easier, or maybe he even let some par fives get away. But yeah, he hit a couple putts.
He made all his, but like the difference between him and everyone else,
didn't make bogeys.
He just kept hitting those 7-footers for par.
Yeah,
never in doubt. Where Finau's pushing like 4-footers by the hole.
Crazy how that's always a common theme amongst the guys who win. Insane. The 7-footers for par all weekend, all week, essentially.
And then the next week, they'll miss half of them. That's why it's hard to predict putting. Although Michael Thompson is a very good putter, it was the first time he had led the field in putting in like 4 years or something like that. So it's even when you're a good putter, it's still hard to be the best in the field. Let's talk about some of these bombs.
Bombs, so we're going past 40?
40 and up. I bet Paul Casey at 100-1.
I couldn't help myself. I have a message like I might be a sick person, but they're posting this
loser
number.
Bet of the week. Yeah. Paul Casey 100-1 with the top 5 each way. Like
they're posting it.
I might take Sung Jae at 92 just because I'm a fucking sucker. Like I just can't wrap my mind around it. Stenson's back. He's 80-1. He's 125 in some places. I kind of want to see it first. I still like if he plays well this week. I like him next. I have a bet in on Stenson to win the PGA Championship from like December.
I don't think I do, but
the
right
corollary
of the strokes gain off the tee and the strokes gain approach, it's like Paul Casey.
Yeah, Casey and Brooks. They just can't make a fucking putt.
I don't know. I thought 100 was absurd, but I'm a sick man. I think I wrote to that because I was up there on one shop,
and then everyone else is like.
But I'm happy with essentially what I consider because that's 100-1. It's not a big bet. If I want to get in more on it, I've left myself some room. But my starting point of Schauffele and his dominance in no cut events, and defending champion Brooks Koepka, who hit his irons well, couldn't buy a putt last week. I feel pretty good with where my bets sit right now, and sort of like you, it's a week before a major, probably gonna have 2 or 3 bodies and
we also have a more there's also a more fun tournament that you can bet on this week.
I don't really need to over invest in this,
and as we continue to state, really good players win WGCs,
and also like it's okay, like we're doing a golf show, like getting your card blown out, like it happens, like it just is what it is. You just hope you've got a couple winners beforehand to just make you not hate yourself about it. I'll still hate myself about it, but it just whatever.
One thing I find really funny is that we've been doing really well hitting winners since the PGA has returned. Even before that, we entered the COVID break on a hot streak. But the 2 tournaments where we've done the worst are like the 2 loser tournaments, the tournaments we usually do really well in.
Yeah, I was never going to bet Michael Thompson. Like I said, I don't even feel bad. I didn't think about it for like a moment. Not a moment. Finau wins. I kick myself a bit because I literally thought he was going to win the tournament. Just didn't want to bet him at his odds.
If you wanted to take like an actual bomb, like Sung Jae and I'm a bit stuffed up. Sung Jae and Casey, I think, are like live. They're probably better top 10 bets than they are outright winner bets. But Champ and Lowry are 150-1. I don't hate those.
Okay, staying in front of the hundreds.
But they're probably DraftKings plays.
And I agree. You can't really go too far here. It's sort of like what I felt like talking about Memorial. Like there's only so far down the card unless you really feel like you're making donations. Any love for Sergio?
A little, but... Yeah.
it's kind of all got to go right. Like certain things he has to be absolutely perfect with, right? There's no real wiggle.
My problem
room.
with Sergio is has been his off the tee. Like even at Heritage, when he was still able to contend, he just misses so many fucking fairways. Like it's like, ugh.
Okay.
Like where are you at now? And here there's a ton of water.
Question. So I'm going to just take an express train back to the top of the board just because I had a betting question that I forgot to ask earlier. You mentioned that fairways hit off the tee. It's exponentially lower than a tour average week.
Yes.
We saw Bryson essentially dominate until he went to the most penal venue that we've had out of the break.
The rough here isn't as penal. Like Memorial is going to be the most penal. So you can play it.
You
from
can
the rough
play
here.
out, but when you have to clear water hazards, it's very. There's a lot more that comes into play when being able to get yourself out of those situations.
Agreed. And if you look at the scorecard, like it's just over 7,200 yards, but it's also a par 70. This is one of the longer courses par adjusted on tour.
So you mentioned 5 par 4s over 450.
Yeah.
That's a beast.
Yeah.
That's the 150, 175 yard iron.
175 to 2, and yeah.
Iron player. It's Paul Casey.
It is Paul Casey. And Stenson. And Rose if he was here, but he's not. Like that's like their wheelhouse. Cantlay too actually kind of dominates that area. And Morikawa. Morikawa and Cantlay are very similar. At least in my mind. I just Morikawa just strikes me as Rory.
Who do you like more, Hovland or Morikawa?
I think I like Morikawa more.
Just because he won recently?
No, just like I look at them objectively. They both have elements of Rory to them. Like I know stacking people. I think they could be as good as Rory though. It just seems like Morikawa has the ability to actually make putts, and maybe Hovland will eventually figure that out. But
I feel like
he putts himself out of tournaments, whereas Morikawa doesn't do that as often.
he only does it when it's a 3-footer at the very end. He makes you sweat for it.
And then he comes back 3 weeks and
Sure.
wins.
That was just a bad joke.
I know, but
I'm
like
not besmirching anything he does.
it's just sort of like the feeling out process of doing this. I mean,
Yeah, I like them both. I'm kind of sort of split on both of them.
I think Wolf rates out really well here too.
Okay, so back to over 40 because there's a couple names I can't not talk about. I asked you about Sergio.
Bo Hostler's not playing, so
No, he isn't playing, but there's sort of a trifecta. They're all kind of in the exact same row.
Woodland, Finau, and Answer or Spieth.
You got 2 of the 3. They're in the same row on our page, but like not the
Fowler-
same row. Like you go all the way across.
Fowler, Woodland, Answer.
Yeah.
They're fine. I don't think they're going to win,
How-
which means they're probably going to win.
Woodland, sort of the numbers showed that Workaday wasn't authentic, and then he went out there and had a very
Good.
strong memorial
until he didn't.
And like a lot of players,
Because this is what Woodland has done in every start since the restart. Every time that he's played, he's put together like 2.5 awesome rounds, 9 holes of and then 18 holes of absolute
Listen,
garbage.
anytime Gary Woodland flirts with the 50-1 number, he gets past the first cut for me in terms of how
You just like
I break
Woodland.
that. I don't hold that back, but long, very straight, great iron player. I think he checks the boxes, but has he improved the tee game that you were sort of picking on him for?
Well, currently, since the restart, he's 54th in this field in driving distance and 52nd in accuracy.
And Leishman can't find a fairway either. He's another guy I want to ask you about, who they always give us nice numbers on the full field, but his inability to find the fairway in the last month is quite a concern.
Gary Woodland has gained strokes putting in every start since
Okay,
Phoenix this year.
okay.
That's 8 straight starts for Woodland. That's insane, considering how bad of a putter he is.
historically.
He lost off the tee again at Memorial, though. After getting it back at Workday, he was a disaster off the tee at Memorial.
Because he was kind of luck sacking even early in Memorial, which was frustrating seeing that happened without the wager. And Leishman off the tee? Is there any life there to
No, he just
want
he misses fairways. But like the
because they always give nice numbers on this guy, sort of like Casey.
the rough length at this course is like average. So it's not WGC Mexico or the Masters or the Sony Open, but it's also not Memorial. Or
Okay.
even something like the fescue from last week if you really got it off track. But I wouldn't be too I think accuracy is important here to avoid the water more so than being in the rough.
Yeah, getting up scrambling isn't really an issue.
It is, but once you're in the water, like you're making bogey
Well-
at best. Like just don't hit it in the fucking water and you're going to be fine.
But, well, I guess last year Brooks putted so well, it didn't matter a couple bad scrambles because he just made every putt.
Sure, but he also struck the ball. He was top 10 off the tee and top 10 in approach for the tournament too, and he was the best putter.
Okay. I want to just put something good on Gary's name, even though I don't think I'm betting him. You mentioned these putting stats, and you marvel at them. And they're worth marveling over because of who it is. But I want to defend it a little by saying he put in so much work with this putter. I forget who the coach was, but it got a lot of credit.
Since the restart, who do you think
year.
the top 10 putters in this field are?
I don't know. That's not the point I want to make.
It should be the point you want to make because Gary Woodland being the fourth best in the field at putting is just completely unsustainable. He's gaining 3.6 strokes per event.
I agree.
Gary Woodland.
I agree, but you got to let me make my point. I think at some point he needs to get a little respect for not being nearly as bad a putter anymore. That it's something he really worked on and he's not that good. That's like a ceiling sort of effort. But the label of being a bad putter.
What he has been doing would basically be what Webb Simpson did.
I was going to say that.
But Webb was a good putter at one point of his career. Then he was the worst putter. Now he's a good putter.
Okay,
again.
fine. But I'm just saying people that follow Gary know the work's been put in. There's a preeminent coach who really helped him and he worked his ass off with. And I'm not saying he's that, but I'm saying the old perception of what he is, I think, is gone.
Yeah, he's not. He's put it
gone.
this way. He's not Byung-Hun An anymore, which he used to be.
Agreed.
He's not that guy.
So I don't.
He's like a median putter now, but he is putting out of his mind.
Fine.
So the top 5 putters on tour are guys that you would expect to be up there: Fitzpatrick, Hughes, Hatton, Woodland, Poulter, Berger, Kuchar. Which name doesn't jibe with that?
It was funny seeing Denny McCarthy miss a 2-footer on TV.
He actually struck the ball really well on Saturday for like the first time in his life. You know who's actually a good putter? Bryson. Bryson is an excellent putter who like people think is a trash putter. It's weird.
He's just so many. The opportunities are endless. It's 18 rounds of putts.
Yeah, and
Morikawa and
you-
Cantley kind of feel the exact same way.
Yeah, but Bryson like is historically a really good putter, like just over time. But the thing is, you see all of his putts, so when he doesn't make every 18-footer, you feel like he's a shitty putter.
The other thing with Bryson, because I'm always willing to talk about him, and I don't want to get too far off track.
I'm curious to see what he does this week.
Everyone's always curious, but I feel like way too much is being made about what's happened. I mean, visually, it's quite astonishing. But if you told us like a year ago, before any serious body transformations, I guess they were already underway a year ago, like Bryson has these results. Like no one was ever surprised that Bryson was going to be really good. Right?
Even if Bryson hadn't made the stuff, he'd be really good.
Yeah, that's sort of my point. Someone's like Evan's going gaga over the transformations.
He won
but
5 times in 2 years.
But like if you told me like old Bryson out of the restart had the exact same like placing stat line, contending win, like that would have felt incredibly normal as well. Like did he gain? Because he was winning anyway. Not to say he hasn't gained.
This is the same guy who won back-to-back playoff events like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just sometimes weird for me. Billy Horschel, 45-1 seems very low.
I know.
Is there some like Fitzpatrick angle there that I'm missing?
I get the sense that he constantly plays this tournament.
Great.
Yeah.
I like.
Let's see. He's played really well the last 2 weeks at the same course, mind you. He was 7th and 13th coming in. Yeah, his track record at St. Jude over the years. He was 9th at the WGC last year, and then he was inside the top 10 4 of the previous 5 years at the St. Jude Classic. So he just has good course history.
All right.
That seems like a ridiculous number, though. 45 in this field. Like better than Woodland seems, as much as I just kind of ragged on Gary, like Horschel being a higher number is odd to me.
Do you have any interest in making this bet with me? Winning next, Finau Spieth.
Who do you want?
You know who I want.
Like, will Spieth win first or will Finau win first?
Yeah.
I'll take Spieth. Yeah. Take the guy who's won 3 majors.
Cool.
Does the Puerto Rico Open count?
Spieth might be in that before.
That's what I'm asking about.
No. No, but like Safeway and like Wyndham count.
Okay. So a non-alternate event field count.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can't.
So if Smith drops out of like the top 50 and he's playing like the Barbasol next
Yeah,
year and wins.
no.
I don't get credit for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's move over to the Barracuda. This one's not and we're going to be talking about all these different players again next week at the PGA Championship. This is a fun one. So Barracuda, modified Stableford scoring, which is the most like DraftKings scoring you're going to find. No DraftKings contest for the Barracuda, which fucking sucks.
I'm going to load mine up because mine got rated.
What?
My
Oh, yes.
Barracuda sheet.
That's
Okay?
correct. I'm just going to read these out
Yeah,
here.
read 'em out.
I mean, the favorites are Henley at 18, Steele 22, Moore 22, Noren 22. Then you have Asian American sensation Kurt Kitayama
Popular.
at 25-1. Rogers, Sam Burns, Wawrinski, Griot, Alonto, Keimer, who I didn't realize was in the field. Those are like the 30-1 down guys. I've made two bets. I bet Stump the Schwab at 45-1. First tee to green last week at the 3M Open. Lost almost 7 strokes putting. Putt field average, Matthias, and you're one off the lead. Gain a stroke, you're in a fucking playoff with Michael Thompson. Didn't work out, but I like this setup for him. Like, it just make birdies. If you trade birdies for bogeys in Stableford, like, you're not going to win, obviously. You make too many bogeys. But you're gaining if you're trading birdies for bogeys. I also bet Munoz. Munoz is 100-1. Munoz is 100-1 in regular fields. I can't quit Munoz. So I played him with the each way at 100-1. I also played the double Brooks Schwab. And then I also played a triple with Jim Furyk. So if those 3 guys win, I win $100K. So that'll be fun. The only other guys I was really looking at were Cameron Davis. I have some notes. Shout out to Axis from FTN Bets and FTN Daily because he watched the First Look show and went through this for me. It's a Jack Nicklaus course. So it's a new course this year for the Barracuda Championship. It is now the Tahoe Mountain Club, which is on the California side of the border. Old Greenwood GC, which is a Jack Nicklaus course. It is played at 5,800 feet of elevation. It was built in 2004. And the top 2 players who are not qualified for the U.S. Open will get in the U.S. Open spot this week at the Barracuda. It's 7,390 yards. It's a par 71. So you have your different Nicklaus courses on tour. We just played Muirfield Village. I don't think this is going to resemble anything like that. I would say that Glen Abbey is probably your best comp for this sort of, like, PGA National and Workday are like super hard courses. Glen Abbey is a fucking joke. It's also in Nicklaus design. There are 3 other courses to look at. The King and Bear Classic, which Chris Kirk won a few weeks ago on the Corn Ferry Tour. Bramlett was 3rd at that event. The Nationwide Children's event from the end of last year, Scheffler won, but Hossler, Hoagie, and Cameron Percy were super high up in that. And the Omega Masters in Austria is another like super high elevation event, an event where Matthias Schwab has come T8 last year. So different courses to look at for Nicklaus designs and elevations if you really want to go down that route. So I said Schwab and Munoz for right now for me for the Barracuda. Were you thinking of anyone? Like, I looked at Vegas. I think Vegas is in play. If I talk about Glen Abbey.
I don't love the number, but I think Patrick Rogers sets up pretty well.
Why?
He's playing decent, and Sam Burns. Let's just crush it a mile and can take advantage of this course versus this field.
I feel like Patrick Rogers plays well at hard courses.
Well, he's making some birdies last week. Of all those guys, like under 30-1, he would be my favorite bet.
Really? Patrick Rogers?
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Why, you Ryan Moore?
No, Brendan Steele is, I think, clearly the best play here.
Doesn't he have the swing or the sub event like hat trick or something?
Steele?
Yeah.
No, Badley does. Badley is the king of the alternate event. But Steele, like, he's won in this region before. He's won Safeway twice. This just looks like a ball striker's course. And he's putting well right now. Like, I don't hate Steele at 22. I might bet Steele at 22.
How about Griot?
No. Griot had his chance.
Griot
Griot had his chance.
He almost hit that eagle.
I know. He had his
Almost hit it.
chance. But someone actually tweeted at me, like, oh, for next year for the 3M, should we, like, Michael Thompson did so well putting, like, should we just be looking at, like, overweighting putting coming into the tournament? It's like, Max Homa and Griot just came in second. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You gonna bet your boy Si Woo?
He's 40-1. No. I like him more, honestly.
Wasn't he 80-1 I guess it's still kind of the same.
He was
field,
65 to 1 last week, and I bet him at 80 like mid-tournament when he was playing well. I think he actually has a better chance of winning the PGA Championship than he does this event.
Well, I would say equal.
And you're going to get him at 250 to 1 next week. So
what did Charlie Hoffman do last week?
Missed
Because he had a great little work day.
He blew up one of my really good DraftKings lineups.
Oh, that's what he did.
Straight
he?
trash.
there was a lot of people who blew up. I cashed a lineup with a 3 of 6 lineup last week.
Well, this whole tournament's on Golf Channel, and Charlie Hoffman used to really like Golf Channel birdies.
He did.
As I was joking, the Golf Channel champion now is clearly Finau, right?
Oh,
like the second we go to network,
he has the title.
the second we go to network TV, Tony melts.
Who would be your top 3? Top 3 Golf Channel All-Stars.
Tony Finau crushes Golf Channel. No one makes more birdies on Golf Channel than Tony Finau.
Trying to think of who
Even
else.
yesterday, his early birdies, 2 or 3, Golf Channel.
Top 3 Tony? No, top 10 Tony.
No, for Golf Channel.
For Golf Channel, like scoring, which means like Thursday, Friday dominance. But once you get on to CBS and NBC, it all disappears.
Well, good point.
Vegas is
Johnny Vegas.
Johnny Vegas. I might like Vegas at 45 to 1 is intriguing to me just because of the way he crushes Glen Abbey. Austin Cook has been playing sneaky good too.
You've been sneaky good with your course comps.
Yeah, but it hasn't really worked out for me.
No, but so the Glen Abbey thing, maybe you're onto something.
Who Bramlett at 90? I never bet Bramlett, but he seems to play okay at Nicklaus courses. And like this is a long course, he should be able to put that. I just don't know. Like having never seen the course
Wouldn't the
before.
format like works very in the favor of a guy like Seamus Power, who seems to?
Why do you just like Seamus?
No, he makes a lot of birdies.
Can we just change his name to John Smith and
You're
then you
wrong.
won't bring him up every single week?
I don't bring him up all the time.
You
I
you
brought him up last
every-
week, 2 weeks in a row. Last week at a guy like a 225 to 1.
But he wasn't. He was like 60 to 1 last week. That's why I gave you the same shit for
So
him.
then I didn't bring him up last
You
week.
did bring him
It was
up last
2 weeks
week.
ago. Did he even play last week?
I have no idea. Yeah, you missed the cut. I just don't get it. Like the fascination with Seamus Power. Like, what do you realistically want from him?
He makes a lot of birdies.
He makes a lot of putts. He's a good putter.
So I'm saying the scoring system, I think, works favorably for that type of guy.
If he putts well, sure.
Because as you
Sam Saunders, also a good putter.
No, I don't want to bet Sam Saunders.
Yes, Paul.
Aaron Wise, 80 to 1.
Aaron Wise would be more of the type of guy. Like I'm not really in on him, but he's the type of guy I would want for this course in particular. Like that type of player.
So Graham Gillette's like dead, right?
He said he's coming back in September
Good for him.
for the swing season.
Hunter Mahan, 500 to 1. 350 to 1.
The top players in birdies are better gained over the past 50 rounds in the field at the Barracuda. You have Hadley, Burns, Davis, Hoffman, Werenski. Like that's the type of player that I kind of want to be going to. Steele is next on that list.
All right.
Eagles gained. Cameron Davis should probably be a bet here. He's also top 5 in Eagles
The
gained.
young Australian, as they called him all weekend.
Is he that young?
I don't know.
But Cameron Davis, I'll make that play at 60 to 1.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick, and I don't mind the Charlie Hoffman number in this field, 55 to 1.
And if you're going to play Seamus Power because he makes putts, why wouldn't you just bet Denny McCarthy at 80 to 1? Who's the best putter of all time?
Seamus Power makes birdies.
So does Denny McCarthy. He makes a ton of birdies.
What's Danny McCarthy?
80 to 1?
I don't want to bet Danny McCarthy. Looking for bigger numbers. Who have been the past winners here?
At
Chalmers?
this course, I just told you, it's the first ever time they've played this course.
Annoying. Hate first time at courses. There were a couple long shots in the other tournament I didn't get to.
We just talked about how there's long shots aren't going to win the other tournament. And then when I asked you, you said, I want to go back to the top of the board.
Well, yeah, but they're just
Your guy, Brendan DeJong, is in the field
what are you talking about? Oh, in the other
in
one.
the Barracuda.
Yeah. Rafa's got an interesting history at the St. Jude.
Yeah, I remember betting on him and him fucking losing when he should have won. I remember you bet him too.
Yeah, probably. And I don't know.
You're talking about top 10s and DraftKings plays.
Yeah, so fine. So Neiman, Corey Connors, Rafa.
Yeah. Like them all. I'm not going to
Yeah.
bet them. Are you going to bet them?
No, outrights, no. Like you said, small, compact at the top.
All right. Quick picks for both the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. When I don't say that right for the PGA Tour.com video this week, they're going to like give me shit like they always do. Because they're going to make me say it like out in full every single time because it's a weird thing that they do. Oh, also, next week for the PGA Championship, I want to keep hitting this home because I'm going to forget. So the more I say it, the more I'll remember. Download like the PGA Championship app and use PGA.com, not PGA Tour.com for the live leaderboard.
Oh, yeah, always. Yeah.
I always forget about it for like the first like 6 hours of watching and be like, why the fuck is this so far behind what I'm watching? It's like, oh, the actual live leaderboard's on PGA.com.
So do they give us like the groups this week? I feel like those groups come out early. I just want to see tee times. I want to know what we're dealing with. I want to know what time.
I want to learn more about this course. Like how it's changed. I'm trying to get the superintendent from Harding Park on. The guy who sets it up for the PGA Championship.
It's a muni.
What?
It's a public course.
Yeah, but it's not going to be set up that way.
Of course not. But I'm saying
That's why I want to talk to the guy who sets it up to see how he's setting it up.
Yeah, no, it's quite
based on like that match play, ball strikers.
Ball strikers. It's quite a beautiful little thing. I read a nice article on it. Like the entire front nine sort of spirals inward. Like you do this little circle on the inside of the property.
Bad for David Duval because he has vertigo.
And then the entire back nine, you essentially walk the water. Fancy little name, the water area there. Famous Cove or something.
Famous Cove.
No, I don't want to. I'll
that
get it
raid
wrong.
is getting to you, isn't it?
I'll get it wrong.
Okay, quick picks for the WGC. I have bet Brooks Koepka at 33-1. I'm going to wait for. I don't think that the number on Webb or Xander gets worse, so I'm going to wait. But I am going to bet those two. And then I'm going to trim it down between Morikawa, Berger, and Victor as my final play.
And Webb, I thought you said.
I did say Webb.
Right.
You just weren't listening. Do you want me to rewind the tape?
Nope, that was only twice this week. I did pretty good.
Well, one of them was when you asked me about course history after I told you it was the first time they were playing a course.
I was lost at that moment. I didn't even have the stuff in front of me.
So, Webb and Xander waiting on a better number, but I would bet those at 22 and will if it comes down to that. I bet Brooks at 33, and I will take one of Berger, Morikawa, or Hovland as my final play. I'm sticking to that other region. I bet Casey because of the number 100-1 with the each way. I'll probably do the same with Sungjae. That'll be my card there. Over on the Barracuda, I've already bet Schwab at 45, Munoz at 100. Gonna bet Cameron Davis at 60-1, and I will think about Steele at 22. I played the double, Brooks, Schwab, and then added Jim Furyk on the Champions Tour. So a double and a triple. I said, you won't see me for a few weeks if that hits. I'm just going to be out partying the entire time in my house because I'm not allowed to leave kind of thing.
Yeah, you played the double and the triple.
Yes.
Because I don't want Furyk to ruin it for you.
No, I played the double and then I played the triple. It's not going to win. I have enough problems picking like one winner on the PGA Tour every 10 weeks, let alone 3 winners of 3 separate tournaments in 1 week. It's just a lot of fun to do. But Schwab, Davis, Munoz, and I'll probably bet Steele as well. And I'm giving Vegas a look at 45 for the Barracuda. Those are my picks. You can check out the cheat sheet on Wednesday, although there is no live chat. I might shoot like a quick video, something like that, but I will release my actual bets. If you don't tail them, you'll probably make money.
Yeah. A lot of like-minded thought here, but we kind of attacked the same part of the board, and there aren't really many players in the range to sort of speak of. The bets are on Xander and Brooks. As I mentioned, I feel like it's a fun way to start the car. I trust no cut master Xander. Brooks, I'm taking a chance. If backfires, it backfires. I've made worse bets. That is what it is. I am thinking about, much like you, Hovland or Morikawa. And I guess Berger can enter those thoughts. I don't know why I'm just would rather bet those younger guys than Webb.
Well, they're better. Oh, than Webb. I thought you meant than Berger. Like Berger just has the course history playing well, but Hovland and Morikawa are objectively better.
Yeah, that's sort of where my mind is. And like you, we didn't even talk about it. I bet that Paul Casey at 100-1.
I did. I just said
no.
that.
Like you, I'm saying like before we even mentioned it on the air, without discussing it, I'm saying we made the bet independent of even knowing that. I'm a sucker for punishment. I still have some sick belief that Paul Casey is good. Like he does the things that I believe really good golfers do. He does them really well. So I'm beholden to believing he's way better than 100-1.
Yeah, considering like Hadwin is 75-1, like no shots at Adam Hadwin, but like come on now.
And then across the Barracuda, I got the Shaw bet. That's a nice little number. You mentioned the ball striking, his ability to just pour on the points with the system. And if you're Glen Abbey comp, I'm leaning Charlie Hoffman, but I'm going to look at Vegas. I believe Vegas beat Hoffman in a playoff.
He did. We had money on Hoffman. We had to hedge. It was my wedding. It was my actually 3-year anniversary is coming up in 3 days. My poor wife, she just keeps adding men to the family. She marries me. We've been married for 3 years. She adds me. Now we have 2 sons. 3 extra men.
What day is the anniversary?
29th.
Oh. That'd have been trippy if it was the 30th, because Lily and
you forget your other child's name?
No.
Okay.
Not my other child. Lily and Mac share the same birthday.
Oh, yes.
And then it would have been weird if your anniversary and Izzy shared the same birthday, but they're one day off.
We're linked like this way. I just remember watching, my then first day as a wife was yelling at me because I was like watching Hoffman versus Vegas at the Canadian Open the day after our wedding, like laying in bed, like, no, I got money on this. I want to see this.
That was a fun Sunday. Dustin tried to charge. Or that weekend. But yeah, that's quick.
One long shot from this tournament. I was going to say Arjun Atwal, who just keeps making fucking birdies all the time. But Lebioda makes a ton of birdies as well. And he's way down on the list. But I'm not going to bet him. Chris Baker, the touchdown maker, the creative player. He's 175. He's like not bad.
I guess, did Robbie Shelton burn all his birdies yesterday?
He didn't even putt well for the tournament.
Because there's a big number there, if that interests you. He could be a good first-round leader, Barracuda bet.
I don't even know if they'll offer first-round leaders.
But I remember he used to show up.
He cashed I don't think I could ever be down money on Robbie Shelton after the Greenbrier this year. I think that's what it was. He came like third. It was like perfect. Neiman won and Shelton came third. It was excellent news. One and done picks for the week. I'm going to take Brooks. I don't think I've taken him. I'll put our final picks on the cheat sheet because I didn't even look this week. Cuss is taking Rory.
Smart like that. I'll take Morikawa.
All right, that'll do it. Nice easy show. 2 tournaments, shorter than our normal shows. I'll be back on Tuesday with Jeff Ulrich. Wednesday, no live chat, but fantasy football, MMA on Thursday, and then maybe some movie talk, maybe some more football. Maybe the season will be canceled by Friday. Who knows?
What do you think?
I'm thinking this. I'm curious to see what happens to the rest of this baseball season, how they address these problems. The fact that the NFL is not doing if the NFL was doing a bubble, I'd have a lot more confidence that it's going to happen for sure. It's just how long is it going to last? I think this baseball thing is going to be a good barometer of that.
Well, this whole baseball thing, it's just a big cock tease. I'd rather not have it at all than like a 2-day cock tease.
It just seems like they're really poorly prepared for
this scenario that seemed likely.
They plan like some of my friends of what could possibly go wrong? They haven't considered any other outcome to what is the ideal outcome in their mind. It's sort of like the opposite of golf betting where, no matter how easy something seems like, oh, he's standing over a 2-footer. And in my mind, if I have money, I was like, he's probably going to miss.
Yeah.
Baseball has the opposite point of view of that. It's like, well, no one's going to get COVID. Don't worry about it. In football, kind of seems like they're doing the same thing. So I feel a lot less optimistic than I did at this point last week about football.
100%.
It's going to happen. Week 1 will happen when week 1's going to happen. It's just I don't know if week 2 is going to happen. They need to fucking figure it out. Telling you. Wyoming, South Dakota, just set up 4 hub cities.
Yeah, I've seen that suggestion.
That you can travel between and just fuck it. Just make sure it happens. It's all about the TV product. You don't need to try to squeeze fans in or whatever.
I saw the suggestion being 4 bubbles, all with the AFC East and the NFC East. They're all in one bubble, and you'll play in your division, and you'll play that one division.
But they have to rejig the schedule then.
They might have to do a little rejigging to a schedule but in the bubble concept, they probably have to, any bubble concept probably will require reschedule jigging.
Probably. So the way I would think about it is if you can find a part of the country where cases are really, really low, that you know, it's not like, oh, New York is a bubble and LA is a bubble. Like try to make it like efficient where you don't need a whole, I know the accommodations for those places are a little bit tricky. So you might need to go like, but if you were able to do it in like Nebraska, Wyoming,
Idaho,
wherever, and like just have 4 bubbles in like similar parts of the country where you wouldn't need to get on airplanes or anything like that. It'd be easy to shuttle people. But you could just link up all of the, like have 4 separate bubbles, but all the bubbles are the bubbles. That it wouldn't matter if one went from bubble 1 to bubble 3, and then everyone could play their games. You would have to like play 4 games early on Saturday, 4 games late on Saturday. They're not going to do that. So it's ridiculous to even talk about it. That's not what they're going to do.
Yeah. Like you, I feel worse today than I did last week. So it sucks.
I think the NHL is going to be an interesting one with this because they have 2 bubbles, right? One here and one in Edmonton.
NBA's got 1 or 2 bubbles?
The NBA has 1 in Orlando.
Yeah.
But it's easier to jam in. Maybe you could do it at a place where there's a whole bunch of fields. I didn't even think about that. Like if you had a bubble and there was 4 fields there. Or 10 football fields. Then you could have just games going all at the same time.
I have no idea.
I just want them to fucking
figure
that's
it out.
what
Soccer,
I want football.
That seems like what soccer's doing. Like the MLS, this whole fields and Disney.
Okay, here's a fun fact.
You're watching soccer?
No. Someone tweeted about someone was talking about the Montreal Impact this weekend. I was like, Montreal Impact? Apparently the MLS came back and I just never came across my radar.
They've been running a tournament in Florida.
How long has this been going on for?
2 weeks? I don't know.
Did not know that. I think I've muted. I think anytime anyone like tweets about MLS on my timeline, I immediately mute them.
Truth be told, I think I know about it like from Morency's tweets.
I can see that. I don't have Morency muted. He just released his new album.
I got to check that out.
The music video for Homicide is out. It's not a bad video. I like it.
I love that guy.
It's just awesome. Like Morency screaming like death metal, and it's awesome.
That's mandatory viewing for me. Like the second we're done.
Of course, Geoff Fienberg. Follow him on Twitter at GFienberg17. You can follow me at the PME. There's no Millionaire Maker this week, so I don't know if they're going to give me giveaways for the big tournament or not, but I usually drop those. If there are giveaways to be had, it will be Wednesday at noon on my Twitter feed at the PME. The movie bracket is up right now. The more votes, the more shares we get, that for the better. That's also up on my Twitter feed. It's the pinned tweet. You can go vote right now until Wednesday evening. I'll put the description to the link to vote, or the link to vote in the description of this video and podcast. Listeners League link in the description of the video and podcast as well. Just under 1,000 entries as from the start of the show. Could be full right now for all fucking I know. Rate and review the podcast, smash the like, give me your favorite double, and we got PGA Championship next week, so just don't overexpose yourself this week. Play in the PME Open. I'm only going to play 3 lineups just overall. I'm not going to build like 20 or anything like that. I'm just going to save some of my cash for next week when there's giant prize pools. There's a full field. It's going to be a fun course. There's a cut line. That's always a whole lot more fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck this week. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!